Hi, and welcome to this week's CAFMA Connect. I'm Assistant Chief Cody Rose, and we've had a lot of changes within the organization with personnel and some of the things that we're doing within the organization. A lot of attrition, people that are retiring and moving on with their lives. And one of those changes that we have is a new Assistant Chief of Administration, and that is Chief Barnes that's here joining us. He's been here for almost a month now. So, Chief Barnes, welcome.
Good morning. Thank you.
So tell us a little bit about yourself and fire service history. Where'd you come from? How'd you end up in Prescott Valley specifically?
Well, I started in 1992 with Southwest Ambulance down in the Valley, and shortly thereafter I transitioned over to Rural Metro Fire, where I was fortunate enough, or unfortunate enough, depending on how you look at it, to work on one of the infamous one-man fire trucks for a few years. I worked my way through the ranks as we started adding manpower, and I topped out as a captain there. And then I came over to the town of Queen Creek in 2008 when we started the fire department there. Was a battalion chief, came across as a captain, then promoted to BC. Was a battalion chief for about 10 years. In the last few years, I've been in administration as what we call the deputy chief. We didn't have ACs. We used the rank deputy. And then it was time for a change this last year, and that summer with like 45 straight days of 110 degrees plus kind of put me over the edge, and there were some cultural changes going on in the organization that made me start to look for new opportunities. And a good friend recommended CAFMA and said, you really need to take a look at this place. And I started researching the organization, and everybody that I talked to had good things to say, and I was impressed with what I saw, so I applied for the job and went through the process, and here I am.
So how has your first month been so far here at CAFMA?
It's incredible. I've told several people this, that the culture here is unlike anything that I've ever experienced in the fire service. There are days that I go to work and I feel like I'm being punked because the people are so nice, and the atmosphere is just so warm and welcoming, and the culture here is, like I say, it's incredible, and I'm just grateful to be here. I'm probably still in the honeymoon phase, but yeah. The honeymoon phase here is unlike any other honeymoon I've ever had. So it's good. I'm really happy to be here.
I was on the computer this morning signing PAFs as the Assistant Chief of Administration filling in, and there was probably 30 of them. And I thought, well, this is something we can pass over to Chief Barnes now that he's here, and he can sign these 30 that I spent an hour of just signing. So welcome here. Let's talk a little bit about the position that you're in. So Assistant Chief of Administration. You were in operations prior to that.
Yes. When
you were in the Valley, and mutual aid and automatic aid system. How's that transition? How do you feel that transition is going to work for you now, coming from operations now into an administrative role?
I think it'll be an interesting one for sure. There are, obviously there's definite differences between the system up here and down there, but one of the interesting things about the department that I was in down there is that despite being in the automatic aid system, we didn't have a lot of administrative support. So we did a lot of work for our divisions in the administrative aspect. And since training fell under me with recruitment, and I did a lot of work with human resources and the like. I dealt with finance as we built budgets and things like that. So in some ways it's different because it's pure administrative stuff. We have people to do different things, but it's not completely unfamiliar. I've worked in those roles before.
Yeah. And coming from a municipality to a fire district now, did you have any experience with fire districts? I know we talked a little bit about this off camera, but what's your thoughts of municipality government versus the local government of the fire district?
It's the biggest difference for me is that everything's in-house. When I was with a municipal organization, if I needed something specifically from facilities, I went to the town facilities manager. If there was something that I needed for finance, I went to go talk to the finance director. Everybody's in-house. All of our services are self-contained, and it seems to make for a smoother process, a little better communication, because everybody's focused on one thing, and that's the fire department.
Yeah. And I'll say I'm probably a little biased with CAFMA, but I think we have a very, very good organization, and going to conferences and going around the state and around the country to different classes, people speak highly of what we've built here, and I think that's everybody that's part of this organization today has a big part of that, and it's taken a lot of time to get to where we're at. But yeah, I when I started, I've been on for almost 22 years now. When I started, it was, hey, I want to go work for Phoenix. I want to go work for Mesa or Tempe or one of the big departments in the Valley, because that's where you want to be. They run a lot of calls and do a lot of things, and as I started, I have a cousin that works at Phoenix Fire now, so he's close to 30 years, but I started doing rides with him, and I thought, yeah, this is awesome. It's going to be fun. But then I started here, and they do the same thing. And actually, I think some of the stuff that we have to do here is we have less people, less manpower. Our guys do a lot more stuff because that's what we have to do, be able to do that. So, I mean, we talk about a structure fire, and yeah, I know you talk about a 2-in-1 and a 4-in-1 or whatever all these things are, 16 engines showing up. I'm like, we only have 15 engines in the whole Tri-City area that are going to be here, unless 540 or 40-hour engines on. But our guys do a very, very good job of being able to make work with what they have. And if we have 4 engines on a structure fire, then they usually do a pretty good job of getting it contained by then.
Well, I have to admit, like I said, we are spoiled down in the valley. It's you could put more engines on something. We could take all the oxygen out of it just by putting more people there. But at the end of the day, like you said, the reputation of the organization is outstanding. I'm very proud to be here. Coming out of the valley, I don't feel like it's a step down or anything like that. Yeah. I'm proud to be here, and I think that having started in an environment that was resource poor and knowing what that does for the skill sets of the people that work there, I'd say I'd probably put our people against any crew in the valley, and because they're good because they have to be. That breeds good skills. That breeds good decision making. That breeds a lot of really positive things. And I think there's a lot that the organization has going for it. And like I said, that's why I wanted to be here and why I'm proud to be here now. Yeah.
And I'll back up a little bit. Those that don't know, Assistant Chief of Administration, which is the role that Chief Barnes is in now, is over finance, HR, and the front office of administration. So, yeah, you've definitely got your hands full, and there's a lot of work with that. You're fortunate enough to have some great people in those positions, but we're glad you're here. Let's talk a little bit about outside of work. What do you do for fun? Obviously, you're getting to know the cold and some of the freezing temperatures that we have, and hose lines freeze, as we talked about before. And
a little bit. Well, these days, my hobby is full-time camping. Is I'm living in my travel trailer while I'm trying to find a place to live up here. But for fun, I am a licensed helicopter pilot. Haven't done that in a while because of.
And we don't speak around that Freitag of that because Freitag wants the helicopter for CAFMA, and so he does that for personal use.
Copy that. So I do that for fun when I have the time. Years ago, and again, it's a time thing. I did some competitive ballroom dancing. I also like camping and hiking, things like that. I would like to spend more time in the outdoors, and I'm looking forward to the lifestyle up here and getting relocated up here and being able to take advantage of the weather during the summer and the nature and things like that. I like to be in the outdoors.
And there's lots of hiking trails and lots of places to go, lots of little lakes and streams, and you'll find. I think it's pretty nice to some of the stuff that we have here that you're fortunate. If you want to go outdoors, there's plenty of places to go. So there's no shortage of that.
Well, I have to admit, I'm already, even though it's winter and it's cold, and for me coming out of the valley, it's cold. The fact that the trees and everything's green and it's not this flat, barren, brown wasteland that you look out at the window in the valley and it's just all brown. Up here it's green and there's hills and it's different.
There's no smog. I took my son to the airport on the New Year's Day, and as we got down in there, he's like, what is this? And I'm like, it's not smog. It's because of all the fireworks and everything they did. But it was definitely a haze that was pretty significant.
Absolutely. Yeah, driving up here, coming out of the valley, it was how amazing how clear it got.
Yeah. Something you take advantage of. So talking to cold, I was talking to my son this morning. He's in Decorah, Iowa, the big northeast corner of Iowa. It's like 15 minutes from the Minnesota border. And he sent me some pictures this morning of snow. They have 8 inches of snow, and he said it's still snowing. It's supposed to be 15 below tonight. So I'm like, well, we're not cold at all. And I sent him a picture of our snow. I'm like, you could still see our grass in our front yard because I wouldn't even call it an inch of snow. But yeah, I think we're very fortunate with the seasons, the weather, the temperatures, stuff that we have here. If it gets 100 degrees, it's hot up here. So yeah, well, anything else you want to add that folks may not know about you or?
I don't think so at the moment. I'm sure things will, as people get to know me, in the next few weeks, I'll be trying to make some rounds of the stations and getting to know people and visiting and things like that. I've been more focused on the office for the last few weaks and things like that, trying to learn a little bit about what I don't know about the job yet. Yeah. So next few weeks, I'll get out and start talking to people and getting to know people and hopefully learning more about the organization itself.
And we tried to make some rounds. You and I tried to make some rounds one of those days and got about half of done what we wanted to do in a whole day. But well, welcome. And I'm sure we'll be seeing you some more on here. Maybe not with me, but probably with Chief Freitag. I'm sure he'll welcome you to come anytime you want. But welcome, and thank you for joining us at CAFMA. We're looking forward to a good future with you.
Thank you so much.
And that's all we have for this week, so thank you. And Chief Freitag is out with surgery. Hopefully he has a speedy recovery and he can make it back maybe next week. If not, the week after that, he'll be back for sure. Thank you.